news, everyone.
This is Jake Seeley, and I'm the blown ACL that ruins your football season.
Let's get dangerous.
He's opening our minds to new ideas. Kill him!
You just made the list! Who are you talking to?
No one! Your mama! Shut up! Take your pick!
Take that, you bucket of bolts. Oh, I'm sorry, is that offensive?
You all know me, know how I make my living. You don't need a plan. You need a scheme. A cockamamie one.
Sure, we talk about it all the time.
Really?
No. Burn.
Game on, you ducks. Yes, All In Speedrun is back. The hiatus is over, and you're going to be getting a lot more podcasting and probably back to full-time in just a few weeks. Yes, about to head out of town for Chris Meany. Great friend of the show, great friend of mine. Chris Minnie's wedding is coming up next weekend, and weekend after that is Flex in New York. Watch online for the experts drafts. Love that word, experts, as we all know. Experts draft, blah, blah, blah. But see how we draft, have some fun in New York. If you're in New York, feel free to come out. We're going to be at Legends on August 1st. There's Scott Fishbowl drafts going on at the same time. But I thought before we get back into the real players, values. I mean, you guys probably head over to The Athletic or read my breakout columns, see the rankings are up there, see their customizable projections are up there, all that stuff. Everything's kind of already there for you. Kind of try to keep you busy in the off season and have you ready for whenever you want to view this stuff. But anyway, point being, I didn't want to get too much into the players because we spend months and months and months in the off season talking about the same players over and over and over again. And by the time we get to August, you're like, yeah, I pretty much heard all about every single person I could think of, every single site talking about the same people. Actually, you know what? And I'm going to talk about that point. Today's podcast, I wanted to get into adjusting our thinking about fantasy football. Some things I wish I would have thought differently or thought of certain ways 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago when I started. Has it been 20 years? 2000? It's been 17, so I'm getting close. I've been at this for a while. Wow. Anyway, and I think that, well, there you go, right there. Looking back, that's my first thought. I think we really spend too much time in the off season with backwards looking. And what I mean by that is that you see people writing articles and tweeting and look, I'm not coming for anybody. I've done the same thing. And these things do matter. We do have to base next year off something, and looking at history is how you learn. But at the same time, you'll hear, oh, this was the blanked rank offense, or blank inside the 10 and inside the 5, and conversion percentage on touchdowns and usage rates and snap rates and efficiency this and splits that, formations, pass, run, split. We hear all this stuff every single year. And yet, not only do we see every single football season that things change in season, look at the Rams, and just look at their shift into 2 and even 3 tight end sets, because they're doing what we should be doing, which is adjusting to the adjustment. The league's going to adjust to you. Fantasy managers are going to adjust to the tendencies, the changes, production, and you have to be adapting, basically. We're trying to predict a sport. We're trying to predict what athletes are going to do on the field. And we know how much usage can change, like I said, within a season, let alone off seasons. And we can use all these things, but they're kind of like nuggets along the way. Like, don't just only target blank team because blank ran 70% pre-snap motion, which is a valuable stat. The point being is just don't go down this road of spending all this time digging into numbers and metrics and everything. Metrics and watching games, I always say this, are 50-50. They go hand in hand. If you're doing one without the other, you're fooling yourself. I always do it. I watch them back up with stats and say, you know what, maybe I missed something, and go back and forth, and that's how I get what I get. All that being said is looking into next season, trying to project, yes, based off history and usage, but don't let it be your only guide. And that goes hand in hand with my next point, in the fact that we're trying to predict a range of possibilities. Like, we're trying to get the highest percentage chance of all the possibilities that are out there that could possibly happen, versus going out there and say blank will 100% happen. When we're drafting players, the reason players are first round picks versus 10th round picks is because the first round picks have a very narrow range of outcomes. Like, we know that they have high ceilings, they have high floors. The likelihood of one being a complete bust without an injury is a 10% chance versus 90% chance of what the like. That's what we're doing with every single player. That's where the projections come from. That's where rankings come from. Every single player is a percentage chance. You know, you get into wide receiver 3s, 4s, flexes, and we know like 60% chance they have a top 25 performance, 40% chance they're like 70th. And that's how we're playing this game. That's the same thing in the offseason. We're trying to predict this range of outcomes going into your drafts, going into next year. There is a chance, and that sounds crazy, but that's the point. There's a chance Josh Allen could be the worst quarterback in the league next year without even injury. It's like a 1% chance. There's also a chance Caleb Douglas could be the next Puka Nacua and the best wide receiver in fantasy. 1% chance. And that's the point here, is that, okay, Caleb Douglas might have 15% chance of being a wide receiver 3 and an 85% chance of not being relevant as a rookie. And looking at the quarterback situation, Cam Ward might have now a 40% chance of being a QB1 and a 60% chance of just being what he was versus last year where it was 20%. Point being is like, we're trying to do this, and that's why I keep saying we, I think you understand what I'm saying. We, the fantasy industry, the fantasy people trying to help you with your teams, are trying to give you the best potential outcome, knowing every single decision you make, every single player is a percentage outcome. So when we say, I would take blank over blank, sometimes when it's roster building, you guys know I like to shoot for more upside in the middle rounds. It's because if I have my 7th, 8th rounder, all have a 30% chance of being top 25. Good chance at least one of them are. If I draft 3 players in that round who have a 5% chance of being top 25 and an 80% chance of all 3 being 4s, wide receiver 4s or RB3s, okay, my team might look okay, but I'm shooting for the upside because I want difference makers. I want to edge on the rest of the league. So again, we're trying to give you the best possible collection, so to speak, of like best odds to have your team come together and be a contender. Speaking of building your team, I believe when we're talking in the offseason that the way we construct our points and saying, oh, get this player, don't get this player. This is why you want blank over blank and all these types. It kind of, if you think about it, it's more auction speak than it is snake. And you guys probably know this and just never, like, it just clicked on me a few weeks ago. Like, you know what? We kind of really need to change the thinking. And there's a point behind this, is because if you play snake, you know this. You don't have a chance to get every single player. If you're drafting 9th, you are not getting Jahmyr Gibbs or Bijan Robinson in any year of your drafts. If you're drafting 9th every single time, you know this. When it comes to the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, behind that, first couple rounds, you don't want to go crazy, but I mentioned this on a recent Fantasy Pros podcast, is I think that a lot of people get hung up on, don't overdraft. Like, hey, I'm the guy that says don't buy all the risk. But there's also a variance of that saying you can get your guy if it's a round difference. I want to go 3. That's where you're buying all the risk. But you can't get every single player you want. Even in auction, you can't, but you have a lot better chance. But if we're sitting here saying, hey, the 4th round guy I love is this, 5th round I love these 2 guys, 6th round is whatever. Again, unless you're playing auction, you're not going to be able to get all those guys. And if you're in snake, you got to remember, you're going to have 10, 12, 16 picks between your next pick. And if you want your guy and it's 1 round difference because you know there's a high likelihood that guy goes by your next pick, it's okay to go get your guys. Who's going to remember that you blew your 6th round pick? Like, we do this all the time. The hit rate, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th rounders, you're already getting to the 50% range. Pause the podcast. Go pull up any single one of your drafts from last year and just look at 6th round picks all the way across the board, 7th round picks all the way through, and then hopefully come back. Hopefully you're already back. But you can see there's a lot of risk and variance in there. And I'm okay with you getting your guys. Again, I don't want you to reach by 3 rounds because you want to look by, what I say, buy all the risk. You're trying to look like the smartest person in the room. Like, oh, I got all the breakouts. Ha ha ha. And then the player has to be 100% the breakout, the highest. They go back to the percentages. They have to hit their 99th percentile outcome versus 60% of their outcome or their best outcome is still going to be valuable. And if you take them to a reasonable spot, you're still getting return on value. So that's where I say don't buy all the risk. But you can also, it sounds counterintuitive, but you can not buy all the risk and still go get your guys. So hopefully that helps with that one. 2 more things I think about the offseason. I also think the group talk, the group think, all these podcasts, all these shows, all these experts out there, very knowledgeable people, it kind of skews in the offseason to best ball because that's all anybody's really drafting for the first couple months. And then even once all these sites unlock their teams and leagues and all that type of stuff, few people are drafting their redraft leagues until at least late July. Most people not until August. So a lot of it you get to see online of, hey, the ADP is this, or such a great value here, or you should get these 3 guys all on the Bengals, which obvious to most people. And it's very best ball thinky, as in the fact is you're going to be drafting different for best ball because you are shooting a lot more upside at the end rounds. You're trying to stack teams. You're trying to jump ahead. This is one where you see people jump 2-3 rounds ahead of ADP or consensus or whatever it might be because it's a different team build and you can't do anything. Like when you draft in best ball, you have to make some adjustments for your running backs where you can take more risks in redraft because you can play the waivers, you can make trades. So remember that when you're looking in the offseason and you're looking at ADPs and you're looking at articles talking about ADPs or all these type of things that I've referenced so far, it's skewing best ball-y. Best ball-y? Yeah, it is. All right, last one, and this one is kind of like a request at the same time as giving some advice, is the offseason is also full of hot takes. Flag plants. I got to make sure, I'm screaming from the top of the mountain about said player. And why I say it's also a request is because I am guilty of doing this years and years and years ago when I first started, even years into my career. And it's because we have the big names out there. You have NBC and Matthew Berry. You have the CBS guys, the Yahoo guys. You just see like the fantasy footballers, good friends, and then you see all this, and then it's like new people. I was there. You're trying to make a name. You want people to know that you know what you're talking about, and feels like this is coming from me. It feels like hitting on players that gets everybody's attention is the way to get noticed. And you're like, people are out there like, I'm screaming at the top of my lungs for blank before anybody else was. And I need everybody to know that. And now everybody else is on it. And this is why. And then they come through. And of course, you guys hate this. I know. At the end of the season, you see all the victory laps. I told you this. I told you that. Like whatever. You should have listened. Or they try to do it tongue in cheeky. Again, I'm a victim, or I guess you guys are a victim of my doing it early in my career. So I just want you to give these people a pass. Like, don't hate on them. I know you might see some of them and roll your eyes and the hot takes, and then we have the freezing cold takes, so you can call people out when they get it wrong and laugh in their faces. And yeah, it is funny. I still stand by how terrible my C.J. Anderson call was. I still believed at the time he was a first or second round pick because I thought he was a pretty good running back, and all the talented, semi-talented running backs next to Peyton Manning were RB1s. So I'll go down with that ship probably be on my gravestone. Drafted C.J. Anderson at the end of the first round or whatever it was. Actually, what's funny? Sidebar, C.J. Anderson and Justin Forsett that year, and Justin Forsett got hurt, and I still won an industry league. So, it can still be done. See, look, I kind of just did it right there. And I just want everybody to give everybody a pass. Like, yes, watch all these buzzy names. Pay attention to why. That's the bigger thing. Why are people flag planting said player? What are the reasons behind it? Go back to the beginning of the show, if it's a lot of this was happening last year and this was happening and this is what the person does, then look for other sources saying the same things. More projecting forward is the smarter way to do it. I'll give you an example that I've been on and talking about the Eagles changing the offense to Sean Mannion, more play action. You guys know I actually think Mekhi Lemon can be a really good fit with Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts passes well over the middle. He does it at one of the least rates in the league. See, I'm folding some fantasy in here. I'm presenting something to you, though. And all that being said is like there's an opportunity for all these things to change because this isn't the same offense from last year. To sit there and go like, well, Jalen Hurts only threw outside and barely threw over the middle. You can see where you can get trapped in that because the offense and the skill around Jalen Hurts is changing. So that's a good example that kind of goes both ways. Now, that being said, to go back to the percentages, see, it's all looping together, is the chances that Mekhi Lemon is a top 25 wide receiver? Probably 25-30%. So you take him on a reasonable cost as a wide receiver 3, because if you hit on that percentage, or if you hit more like the 50% outcome where he's a wide receiver 4, and then that 25% where he's a complete bust, you can see how it's all interwoven between using last year's numbers, metrics, performances, looking ahead to this year, changes, schemes, projecting what's going to change. And you just put it all together to get the percentages, to get the outcomes that you think are more likely to happen than not, and weigh the upside with the bust potential. And really, it just comes down to it's so many factors to building the potential best team. All in all, us fantasy analysts, expertivists, whatever you want to call us, we're doing our best to predict this sport and give you the best possible range of outcomes, as you can see, and be more forgiving than you might want to be, especially when it comes to online, and online social interactions are always a tenuous spot to be in to begin with. So just ask for that pass. I ask for you guys to think bigger, think wider, think more open-mindedly about people, but also like more for fantasy in the next season. We are trying to predict an unpredictable sport. We're talking about human beings playing a sport, and things change every single year. If this were the case and it was that easy, wouldn't be here. Would be rich on an island in the Bahamas or wherever Nicole wants to go, Iceland. And Vegas would be out of business because it'd be so easily predictable. Like, if the fact that people win money in Vegas, that's all you need to know. I will be talking plenty of players. I will have guests on. If you have any suggestions for guests, I have a heck of a lot that you've probably heard throughout the show that are really good in my opinion. Always looking for more, always looking to try and help people to get more exposure instead of just yelling out their hot takes. So that, probably going to do a giveaway to try and get some of the traffic back that I've still been trying since they resurrected this podcast. Somebody gave me a really good idea. I'm not sure if you saw my Baja Blastoise shirt or You're on Mute from Mute City, if everybody remembers F-Zero. I've been making like my own crossover design t-shirts now and mashing things together. So I've been having some fun with that. So I figure maybe give some away, because I do actually have my own ranking of ones that I think are cool, because those fun ranks are going to be back. But yes, everything's at The Athletic. The fantasy football kit is coming out. Part of it is already out already. Like I said, rankings, you can go to the customizable projections. You can sit here and say, hey, Jake, like, there you go. I don't believe in your outcomes because I predict this and I see this and I think this matters and this doesn't. And you can change the projections and see how the players now rank with their projected scores for your league. So that's there. Podcast is back. It will be a mini hiatus. Like I said, I'm traveling for Chris Meany's wedding. Shout out to Chris Meany. And then for the Flex Leagues. But we'll be talking about that when we come back, help you get ready. I mean, heck, when I get back, it's August. It's full-on draft season. So I'll have that for you. And then in season, as you know, the wrap-up, look ahead at waivers, kind of a rankings talk show. But that's another one. I'm not getting too hung up in rankings these days, because it's how many people are deciding between RB 6, 7, and 8. The decision comes down to the wide receiver 3s, 4s, and flexes, and that's more important. That's what we need to discuss more than even that. Oh, I have this player ranked 70th and this person ranked 77th. And what does it mean at the end of the day? You're looking for the potential outcomes. Do you need to shoot for the upside? Do you need the safety in your lineup? What do you need? That's a lot of what these projections and predictions come down to. So hopefully you enjoyed the new intro too. Shout out to Donkey Kong Country being one of the best unheralded soundtracks there is. And I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. As you can see, it's the first time back in the podcast in a while. Ziggy and Barkley giving you love in the background. I will see you